When my friend Lynn Conway passed this past year, it really gave me the motivation to do this project. I had been thinking of it off and on for years, but I realized that too many of my trans friends, especially my elder trans friends, were getting older. And her death, I like to think that she'd laugh at the idea of giving me one last kick in the ass. And here it is. I really wanted to start interviewing a lot of the trans elders who were doing this work long before Rachel and I showed up on the scene, because they had stories to tell. Hi, I'm Helen Kramer, and I'm an author and an educator, and I've been working with and for the trans community for more than 20 years now. So I've named the project Shoulders of Giants, because in fact, the trans people who were doing the work in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s were the people who did all of the first actions, who got the first laws passed, who worked the first people to come out at work to transition in place, who changed the rules, basically. I don't want us to lose their stories. So when my first asks went out, Jameson Green said yes.
And that first conference, the first trans masculine conference that we put on in San Francisco in 1995, where we had almost 400 people, that was all done without any internet, you know?
I texted Kate Bornstein, and she said, of course.
I had a breakout moment when an audience member asked me, can I have orgasms with my new vagina? And I came up with the line off the top of my head. And I said, yep, the plumbing works, and so does the electricity. And yeah, go ahead, pal.
I interviewed Angela Brightfeather.
My only real connection with other transgendered people was through a person that I had actually driven down to Casa Susanna in the Catskills. Wow. And I stopped in and met people and left. I was so scared I didn't know what to do. Plus, I didn't have any clothes.
There were so many great interviews. Talked to Gwen Smith.
Because once you find the resource, then you start to track down more information. You try to find secondary source. You try to find any information about the case. And as I would put them up on the site, oftentimes people who knew this or that person would come to me with more information.
The other last interview that I have already in the can is with Dallas Denny, who, if you don't know who she is, you should.
I asked for estrogen, and he came back with a needle with a huge bore full of testosterone. And I said, no, no, no. And when he was out of the room, I took the top third of his prescription pad, put it in my purse, and wrote a prescription for hormones.
I've got a whole bunch of interviews upcoming. People like Tony Amato and Maxwell Valerio and Daniela Schini and Monica Helms, who invented the trans pride flag, as well as people like Marissa Richmond, who works a lot with the Dems nationally. Julia Serrano has said yes. There are all sorts of people, and there are invites upon invites going out there. So I want to do this project, for one, because this political moment in time, I think young people need to hear from their elders. They need to hear from people who existed as trans before trans existed as a category, as an identity. I think that's going to be very valuable in these upcoming years. The other reason is that I am basically only employed half-time where I work. I have the time, I have the energy, I have the motivation, and I have a wife who is really good at tech, right? So she's filming this, she can build websites, she can take photographs. Together, we are a dream team for this project, and that's why I'm really excited. But she's also an actor who works and doesn't work and works and doesn't work. We are generally always trying to figure out other ways to make a living, and instead of going and getting like gig work or other stuff like that, I would much rather dedicate my time and energy to doing this project, to basically say thank you to all of the elders who helped me along when I started doing this work, and as a gift to all the generations yet to come. Trans people have always been here, will always be here, but sometimes we have to make sure that history is documented and held in safe hands. That's it. Thank you. Donate if you can. If you can't, please share.